People will self-harm themselves, whether that is physically, through drugs, alcohol, sex, or emotionally batter themselves day after day. The one that people always think the most common is cutting. Self-harm is not just cutting. You can harm yourself in many, many other ways that you might think are not harming yourself, like casual sex, drugs, alcohol, to numb the pain. Cutting, it's seen as the most common. It's seen as the worst. It's seen as the one that you can tangibly look at and you can see that they're self-harming themselves. Whereas with your numbing your pain through drugs, alcohol, casual sex, whatever it may be, or if you're just emotionally battering and kicking your butt day after day with how you are and how you live your life and who you are, where you're at in life, that's still self-harm. There are many, many forms of self-harm, and it's not just cutting. When people's dopamine is depleted and they have few options left in their mind, that is when they start thinking of the numbing tactics. There needs to be more awareness on self-harm and the forms of self-harm and not just cutting. This subject is just... it's a lot, and it's hard. It's hard to see friends and family go through this. It's hard to see the scars from people. It's hard to see your own scars. And it's hard to look back and see your own emotional scars of what you've done to yourself in your life to numb the pain. There's so many other ways to get out of this funk, to feel something. Like going outside and grounding yourself and getting your feet fresh in the grass and taking deep breaths of that beautiful air, or if it's a rainy day, just basking in the freaking rain. There's plenty of ways to get these feelings back. And whether that's through people, whether that's through your favorite things, whether that's through vices that aren't even vices, like piano, hunting, those are some vices for me, working out. We need to have this not be such a touchy conversation. It's touchy for me to even talk about right now. It's touchy to even talk to people about that you've done it in the past, or you've done this, you've done that, whatever it may be. We need to be able to talk about it because we need people closest to us to understand and know when we are doing these self-harm. They need to be aware of the triggers that may cause us to do something. They need to know that oh, hey, they're drinking a lot. Maybe we need to sit down and talk to them and kind of reevaluate some things with them. Why are they in the bathroom so much? That's another form of self-harm, is bulimia and anorexia and overeating and things to feel, just things to make yourself feel something, just a little spike of dopamine. And there's so many other forms to find this spike of dopamine, and we need to be able to see these signs and warnings in people, and we can't do that if we don't have a conversation. This subject honestly just breaks my heart, and it's something that people stray away from because of the emotional impact it has on people. It's one of the most important things that we need to discuss, because there are so many people out there hurting themselves and harming themselves physically or emotionally, and they're doing it all by themselves because they don't think that they can tell anyone about it because it's such a touchy subject. There are resources out there. There are people to help you. There is a suicide hotline. There are friends and family that will help you. There are people like me willing to help. There are people like mental health advocates out there who will gladly sit and talk with you about other options. And it just needs to become more of a normalized thing.